Hey everybody, welcome to tonight's stream. Sorry for the late delay, but life is busy. And I opened everything up and our planes didn't work again. So tonight's going to be a relatively short stream. We have a lot going on between promo shots, rig testing, general
all the things,
business
life.
running, all kinds of different things, working full-time as well. I got a whole list of things to do this week, next week, the week after. So we'll probably have a fair amount of short streams for the next few weeks. But hopefully when Leo releases, it'll be worth it. And yes, I can
Leo,
now
you can say it
officially
now.
say Leo, even though I've said it like 50 times. I know Pratham heard it.
Yeah.
Yes, we do have the same chair. So this is the
Yeah, we
finest
do.
chair on the market.
We try to sell it to everyone that talks to us ever because it's great.
Someone talked me into getting it, and then I talked 4 people into getting it, and
I
then
think
they've
so.
talked people in. So now it's like everyone has the same chair, and
Come on, Noelia.
it's
Gotta
called the
get
Ergo
it.
Chair 2, which now they've rebranded it, so it's not the Ergo Chair 2 anymore. It's a different name, but it's by Autonomous AI. Really, really, really good chair, really comfortable, and works great. Hello, Noelia. Good
Oh
to see you
yeah.
here. So, again, today's going to be a relatively short stream. I think we're going to just do some critiques. And then Madison might hop out because she needs to prep for some reference stuff that we're doing for Leo. I may do like a very short cloth sim demo because I just wanted to show it and I thought it might be fun.
Oh,
Maybe.
wait, I want to stay. I want
Okay.
to see.
Well, if you want to stay, then I just didn't want to make
I
you
want to
wait
see
longer
closet.
because I knew you were like
No, I all good.
rushed. So you feel
Go.
free to stay, feel free to leave, whichever. Also, I look very cool with this dual
So
light.
blue. I feel like I need to like contrast it. I need more pink.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Let me switch it. Let me.
I mean, no, it looks fine. I just feel under like, like you're
I want to.
dressing wrong to the wrong party. That's what I feel like. I feel underdressed.
I want to try something though. I want to go like evil.
Oh no.
Oh, that looks cool.
Is that evil? Just one
Yellow,
side's red. Nice.
cool white lighting.
We've decided to turn the stream now into a lighting master course. We're learning how to light. Okay, there we go. Now I'm cool.
Oh, you're so cool.
Yeah, I am.
Look at us go.
Dan and I got lights that you can turn colors if you can't tell. We are having way too much fun with them.
They're Bluetooth. They're actually Bluetooth lights, and they're literally $11 per light bulb. So I bought 2 of them, so $22, and they're Bluetooth light bulbs. So you plug them into your everyday lamp, you download the app on your phone, and you can control colors, intensity, set alarms, timers. You can have a rave
You can
party
go
just by your
crazy.
mic, all this stuff, and they're literally $11, and they have like a 9-year warranty too. So pretty cool light bulbs. But anyway, as I was getting distracted, I wanted to test out something I haven't done in a long time, which is cloth simulation with Marvelous Designer. I have done cloth simulation within cloth, and I may end up doing it because you get a little better product with that, but I did want to go back into Marvelous Designer. And because I have such a subtle shot with my Leo shot, I wanted to test that out for some test rendering things. So I wanted to test out how it looked to do some cloth simulation and then bring it back into Maya for some cool beans. So that's what's on the schedule for today. Just some quick crits, maybe a cloth simulation playing around for a little bit, and we'll probably call it good because we got a lot of things to do. So do you want me to lead the screen share?
Sure, up to you. I mean, it's in Sketch, so I don't have my sound currently plugged in for Zoom, so.
Okay, let me screen share.
Sorry, that's probably just loud right now.
Which one are we doing first, Madison? Is it the Riemu dance?
Yes.
Okay, so let me go if you guys can see this. And let me know if you can hear this, because if you can, I'll have to change something. But let me know if you can hear this. I can't hear this. is it just really quiet?
I can hear it. Do you have your audio toggled?
Something is going weird with my audio.
I'm seeing this not right. This is going through the wrong output. Oh, that's
Maybe.
okay. I just accidentally turned my entire tablet off. So we're really winning today. Oh no.
Okay, I can hear the footsteps. I just can't hear music. Is there no music?
I don't think there's music.
Oh, okay. I'm just dumb.
Yes.
Cool. So there's the reference. Now let me just take a look at the blocking path so far. Boom, boom.
You do that while I have issues with my tablet.
Okay. Madison's probably going to have the most of the notes on this because she's the dancer.
He's a dancer.
But
Come on, bring out your inner dancer, Dan.
Yeah. Okay, so just first off, starting with just some posing things, I really like the flow you have going through the arms from this one to this one. I think there's a nice flow between these arms here. I would like to see if you could get something more like this in the first pose here, because I feel like this one isn't quite as successful of an arm pose. And I feel like you could possibly, if this one's here, maybe you can go here to start out with this arm and maybe come up this way a little bit with this arm, just so you're still getting a nice flow through both arms to start out. I think here is pretty nice. I think you could probably clear this out in silhouette just a little bit. This is good. And then I really like the arm pose you have here. This is really nice.
Just to add what Dan's saying there. If she has been bow controls, I would try to smooth out those lines. Yeah. Just because on some, especially if her forearm right here, it dips in, which happens with a lot of rigs. So just make sure that you're making them not tubular, but trying to get that flow as much as you can through the arms.
And just trying to get a little bit of curve in this arm here, because you've got this and you've got a curve going this way. And so going here, it'd be nice if you could get a curve going this way, and then coming back into a curve coming this way would be nice. So you're going here, and then here, and then here again. And it's also going to keep the same thing that's happening here, which is foreshortening of the arm. I would try to avoid that because this character is so stylized and it has this really nice outline. It also makes foreshortening a bad issue. So I would try to maybe curve this arm out just a little bit so you can get a little less foreshortening. And that's also going to help here with this foreshortening of getting the hand out here, just to, keep the arms from foreshortening. But Madison, did you have any notes on this? Because I just got an important message that I need to reply to.
Okay, cool. I can take over then. Let me join the sync again. Yeah, that was kind of the main thing Dan already pointed out, the foreshortening of the arms. But as for posing, if I'm just playing through, this is kind of what might be a note to address once you get in further into blocking, but just make sure that the weight feels right here with the cog, because if I'm watching her hips here, this is her transition, right? Which is here is good. She's starting to lean over this leg, which is good. And then here, I'd probably expect her to be a bit more, this way. you know, something like here, maybe just having the hips more over this way. And then here she's going to be going the other way. So just make sure that you either put a pose in there, a breakdown to make sure that you're showing that she's taking the weight over this leg when she steps on it. And then here she's going to be transferring back, but just make sure that she's not getting locked, because right now it looks like the hips kind of like hit a wall between here. I mean, that hip comes out, but she's still like, her center of gravity is still pretty much in the same place. So just watch out for that. And then right here, I noticed something kind of weird with like the elbow area or like the armpit area. It might be something to do with the shoulder. So just check, like, it looks like almost your rotate Y of the chest is pointing that way. And then like the rotate Y of the hips is pointing this way. But then the shoulders like cranked up here. So I would just try to like level that out, like maybe less not up on that rotate Y of the chest a little bit. And maybe get it something a little bit more like, you know, play into that contrapasta of the, I said contrapasta, not contrapasta. I'm thinking about pasta, what can I say? But maybe something a little bit more like this, of just like getting these shoulders down. Then maybe this arm would drop a little bit, but this would just kind of help like strengthen that line of action through the chest. Engaging those shoulders a little bit more. Same thing here, just a little worried I'm not going to get the information of the hips of like them really coming over this leg. Right, to like shift weight. Making sure just like the hips come over. That might be like a breakdown you end up like adding in, or just keeping that in mind as you move forward.
Can I add a little note real quick?
Go for it.
So like this is going to piggyback off of Madison's note, but if you have the foot here, like this is, so essentially I'm looking at this in like a sequence of 3 poses. So ghosting, consider sketches 3. Okay, so we have this pose here with the leg. You have this pose here with the leg. Actually, would you mind drawing this leg real quick with your tablet?
I was about to say the
setup.
The mouse is interesting. Well, okay, do you want me just to trace?
Yeah, just trace the leg. Thank you. And then trace this leg. Okay, so let me turn on tracing paper, 275. Okay, so if you can see the leg poses that have been drawn out here, you'll notice that this works, like this really works quite nicely. You have this nice straight, you go into this nice bend in the leg, and then you come back to another straight. But if you'll notice with the lead and follow, let's say, take for example, you have the knee here, the knee here, the knee here, and if you have the spacing of the ankle, the spacing between the first and second pose on the knee is bigger between pose 1 and pose 2, and then it gets smaller between pose 2 to pose 3. The foot is opposite. It's smaller between pose 1 to pose 2 and bigger between pose 2 to pose 3. So what I would try to do as an animator is push this. So if the knee is leading on this middle breakdown and the ankle is following, rather than just taking what I've been given here, can I push that, right? So instead of having a pose like this, which is good, can I push it to drag the foot even more? And that will also push the curvature within my leg poses. Would you be able to draw this? Because this does not look good. Pretty please and thank you.
Wait, what are you wanting me to draw specifically?
Instead of having a breakdown like this between here and here, like dragging the foot more and leading more with the knee,
Oh,
so
okay,
that you
okay,
get
gotcha.
like a more pushed
Gotcha.
breakdown.
So, something like that.
Yeah, relatively, yeah. And so if you have something like this, I can go ahead and delete this, go back here, I can grab this, move it over here. So now you can see, if I turn off my ghosting, you just get more contrast between here and here. You're having tighter spacing from here to here. You're also getting more line of action in the leg, and you're getting more force moving this way. And you're just really pushing things. And that's going to get you a lot better of a pose, because now you're really pushing, you know, your line of action, you're pushing lead and follow, and it just gets a more interesting pose, I think. And then I'm also going to redraw this. So that's my note through the whole thing. Find your key poses, which would be this one, and then take the legs and try to push your spacing and push your lead and follow and push your dragging and really try to make your poses more strong, because what you have here works really nice. So now let's try to push this to take it to the next level, would be an overall note with your poses. So
Yeah.
Sorry, Madison, what were you saying?
No, I mean, like, that's kind of exactly what I was saying throughout this whole bit. It's just like pushing it a bit more, cleaning up your poses too. Like, even something here I'm watching is right now the torso is kind of feeling locked in this same area throughout these poses. Like, when she gets to this contact, she kind of feels locked here. So I might try to find a way, like what you have works and it'd be fine, but I'm just thinking, okay, what if I straightened out like that hip the other way a little bit, like control, like basically just not have the Z rotation of that hip be that pronounced yet. Maybe have it be the other way. Like, this could be something you could try. Maybe have it be like this when she reaches out with that leg, right? Because you're already coming from this rotation. So you can reverse that here, maybe even a little bit. She starts to like bring this hip up a bit more. Maybe here she's like that, and then when she comes down into this, that's when like this hip can really come up.
Hey, Madison, our names are opposite.
Amazing. I'm Daniel Stewart.
I am Madison Erwin.
And you're...
Oh, whoops.
Break it.
Now we're switched.
There you go. Also capitalize your name. You.
It is capitalized.
It's not.
What?
I'm looking at the stream.
Excuse? It is capitalized. It was capitalized at one point. Now it is capitalized.
Yeah, so maybe I would sit into this hip more. Also, watch out for this knee. Right now, knees can't really bend without bending over top of the toes. Like, there's a little bit like a degree of movement that you can go side to side. Yeah, so here, just make sure that either that foot is just like rolling, so that way the top of the foot is like here, or you can have it where you just take the knee a little bit and have it more, this way. Also, I love how Sync Sketch just like teases me. It's like, yes, you can have pin pressure for the first 5 minutes of this crit, and then it's like, nope, no more. Yeah, what I might actually end up doing here is I would roll the foot probably like this, since she's picking it up anyways. So she can just slide it a little bit, so that way there'll be some roll, so that way that knee won't be over the wrong way. I think that'd be my main notes. If you have anything else, Dan?
No, I think that's most of my notes as well.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, it's really, really nice work so far.
Good. Do you have any questions or anything about that? If you're here. Silence.
If not, we can move on to the next person. I believe we have Pratham. Do you have to add more breakdowns and blocking? Let me go ahead and check this out real quick. Let me check out this real quick. I wouldn't personally, I don't think.
Yeah.
I think you have more than enough blocking to spline. That said, I would block in spline some more information depending on what your reference says. So
yeah.
The way I look at blocking is, what are my full body key poses, right? And I go in and I block those. That's what you have here. But there's certain information that happens in this shot that you don't have in yet. As in, maybe the extreme of your arm coming this way isn't on frame 23. Maybe it's actually on 25. The arm continues to come this way and it hits a peak up here, right? I should probably use the pointer tool. Maybe the peak of your arm is actually this frame, right? But there's no reason to block the entire body just so you can get an extreme on this arm. So that's whenever I would go through in spline and block out things. Am I not sharing the screen? Can you see my screen, Madison?
I can see it on the stream, yeah.
Okay, cool. So go in, now that you have all these poses blocked in, go in and find the little small details and start putting those in from your reference. As in the extremes of the arm, when they come up, when they come down, little details in the head that need a lot of detail. Like maybe she has like a head shake like this, or maybe she like does a little like head accent that you really don't need to block the entire body to get that information in, but it would still be really important to block that in on the head and get it connected down through the body. So
right.
You have enough poses to do stepped blocking, but now that you've finished step blocking, flip it to spline and continue to put information in until all of the information is in there, and then start refining the motion and offsetting things and really polishing things up. And that would be my suggestion. So hopefully that makes sense. And then now we can move on to Pratham. And let me watch this through.
If I had have been a rat, granted, I probably would have had a rat girlfriend, and she would have joined me in my cheese feast. It's just, you get a heartbreak as a human.
Nice.
If I had have been a rat... If I had have been a rat, granted, I probably would have had a rat girlfriend, and she would have joined me in my cheese feast. It's just, you get a heartbreak as a human. If I had have been a rat, granted, I probably would have had a rat girlfriend, and she would have joined me in my cheese feast. It's just, you get a heartbreak as a human.
So I think, for me, there's a beat that's missing here, which again, if you're talking about general notes, then this will be a general note, and I think this can help a lot. So right now, I'm feeling as though...
And she would have joined me in my cheese feast. It's just, you get a heartbreak as a human.
I'm feeling this beat here is super, super, super rushed. So he's like, join me in my cheese feast. I mean, you get a heartbreak as a human. And what's not reading to me is there's no thought process that's making sense to me. Because he's like, my cheese feast. And immediately goes from like happy, excited with no thought process in the face to deflated and sad. So what you need to be able to show is he's happy, my cheese feast. And then he's like, oh yeah, but I don't have this girlfriend. And then he gets sad because he's like imagining, he's like, I'd have a rat girlfriend and she'd join me in this cheese feast. And he's getting all into it. And he's excited. He's like, yeah, this is great. And then what you have to show in order for it to read is like eye darts, like thought process. Yeah. And he's like, oh, wait, this is just my imagination. This isn't true. And then he's like, you get a heartbreak as a human. So what I would try to do, because you can't really add time, what I would try to do...
He would have joined me in my cheese feast. It's just, you get a heartbreak as...
So he's like, join me in my cheese feast. I mean, you get a heartbreak as a human, right? So instead of going cheese feast, you get a heartbreak as a human. Keep him in this pose and start the process in the face and then move that to the body. So he's like, cheese feast. I mean, you get a heartbreak as a human, right? That's going to show the thought process of first it happens in the eyes. Maybe there's one or two quick eye darts. And then his face gets kind of sad. And then he's like, oh, you get a heartbreak as a human, right? So then you're leading and following, right? So it starts in the head. Then it goes to the eyes. Then it goes to the face. Then it goes to the body. And that's going to be a nice progression of things as opposed to cheese feast and then immediately goes into sad. Because right now the thought process just doesn't read to me. So it would just be holding this pose in the body.
Cheese feast. It's just, you get a heartbreak as a human. You get a heartbreak.
So you'd probably hold it till about here. So you'd hold that body pose from 185 to 228. And then you would go into this pose by the end. So get a heartbreak as a human. And I think that's going to make a lot more sense thought process wise.
If I had have been a rat, if I had have been a rat, if I had have been a rat,
I think it could be funny, if possible. I don't know if you have the ability to do this, but if he pulls it down, and it's a little farther out, that way he said, if I had have been a rat, and he like,
if I had have been a rat,
and as he comes in, he pulls it closer, so like he gets really up into the mic to like really emphasize this point. I think that could be really funny. Of he's just like, if I had have been a rat, and he like pushes it in. I think that could be fun to like emphasize.
If I had have been a rat, granted, I probably would have had a rat girlfriend, and she would have joined me in my cheese feast. It's just, you get a heartbreak as a human.
And then Madison, do you have any other notes before I go into like lip sync things, or do you have like IMAX stuff?
Yeah, maybe I can give some IMAX notes.
Because I did have one at the very first about disconnection, but I didn't draw it very well. But like the eyebrows feel disconnected.
Here, I can maybe zoom in and draw over this because I do see what you mean. Hold on. I'm having issues with things going wonky. Okay, there we go. So like here, just make sure that the brows are feeling connected, like Dan was saying. So if the ending is here, maybe rotate this one down a little bit. Think of it, coming through. This one will be pointing up a little bit to match it. So like for, teaching purposes, I'll draw through it.
Yeah.
So you can see that it needs to be like one continuous line.
And it's really
have a
very
nice flow to it.
very slight changes. It's literally just the
very
tips
minute.
needing to be rotated a little bit, because overall the shapes work. It's just that they need to be the tips of the eyebrows, or the ends of the eyebrows, need to be rotated just a bit on each side to match.
Yeah, so see, like if I literally go weep, and then you get the same exact thing of just like those ends being pointed towards each other, like Dan said. Then I would just watch out. Something was a little, this is nitpicky note, but something was a little off about the eye direction here. I don't know, maybe it's just a little too cross-eyed. Maybe I would kind of drop this one a bit. But I struggle with eye direction a lot, so Dan, correct me if you think I'm wrong here.
No, I think that's 100% correct.
Okay.
Like,
So
he's
maybe
looking
just, like-
close, so it needs to be relatively cross-eyed, but I think this is a little too much.
It's almost like his screen right one is like up a little too far or something.
And I think the screen so his screen right eye should be in a little bit, and this one should be out a little bit, so you get more of this kind of an angle instead of that kind of an angle.
Yeah, just a little bit. Don't tweak it too much, because again, the screen's close, so you don't want him to look like he's looking way over, but yeah.
Yeah.
And then now I'm not sure like how far you are into the face, like of this shot, if you're going into like polishy things, or this is like first pass spline, I don't know, but just make sure that you're offsetting your eyebrows with your eyes being closed, especially like on this compression. Right, like here you should have possibly the brows leading, you know, you can do either or, but have, first pass spline. Okay, so yeah, so just keep in mind for like going forward of like offsetting those brows, having the brows lead, push the eyes down, and then the brows are going to lead, you know, the surprise expression, brows coming a few frames first, and then kind of almost like tugging the eyelids up.
Yep.
And then here, there's something about this, like these inner corners still feel kind of like locked to the same rotation. So I might try getting something a little bit more like this with the expression. Or like maybe bringing up just to get like a change in these brows. This is not like a need, but something that I would possibly just try, encourage you to try out. And also the eye mask here. Watch out for this eye here. I would try, it's a little wide right now. I try to just kind of cut that off to better match this one.
If I had been a rat,
when he does like this eyebrow flare on rat, I think what you can do is right now, again, they're staying in that same rotation and just translating up and down. It's really hard to have like angry brows, but raised. A lot of times with raised, like I have bangs, so you can't really see, but like a lot of times with like raised eyebrow expressions, they're gonna round up because we're pulling up from this, I failed anatomy. We're pulling up for this muscle right here. I forget what it's called, but there's a muscle that here, like your forehead that raises like, and it raises from this outer corner. So it's really hard to be like, have those mad brows and then a raised. Like you can do it to an extent, but you have to go like, ugh, like you have to make a really unflattering face to get it to do that. So I would try to, on this flare, before he goes into like a rat, like he goes back down into it, try to maybe round the brows out a little bit here. You can still have the essence of that, but I would just try to get them a little bit rounder, just to be like maybe rounder like this. Just I would play with it until it felt right. Possibly do something like that. And again, you might do it, it might feel weird, so like don't go crazy, like completely round shocked, but because then here you can go right back down into it. And here I might even you're really like focusing and emphasizing that rat, right? So I would try to push this expression a little bit. Maybe like I'd push this brow down a bit, because he's like telling this guy that's, you know, talking to him over Xbox Live or whatever. He's like, are you kidding me? If I was a rat, you know what I could do? Like he's kind of on a rant a rat rant. But I would try to maybe like push this up, just make this expression a little more intense. Maybe compress this a little bit more. Then this one can be like stretched, kind of like you have.
Can I do a quick thing that'll go into this note?
Sure.
Because this will basically go into the mouth pose that I was about to suggest.
Okay, yeah. You're probably about to suggest what I was about to, so.
Yeah. So if he's
basically
saying...
what I was saying there, just real quick, is like alligator in one side,
Yeah.
favorite.
And that'll go into the mouth of also using the mouth to help with the face. So if he's saying rat, right? Essentially what you're trying to do is you're trying to get the lip sync to go with the alligator and whatever. So if here he's about to go rat, right? And open up this side of the face. If here you can get your to be more, oops, I don't have my drawing. Here, right? If you can get your to be on this side of the face, then whenever you get to here, this is warping weird. I would try to really push this mouth shape to be something like, I probably will not do a good job drawing this.
Are you drawing, Dan? I can't see.
Can you not see my drawing?
No, I don't know why.
Can you refresh?
I don't see it on. Looks like you're frozen on the stream.
How about now?
Am I frozen? No. Okay, well, now
that?
I can see it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm trying to draw this. Would you be able to draw a better version of this?
Yes, there we go. Sorry, everything just froze for me for a minute. Like even the stream was frozen with the chat, everything. So I was
Beautiful. But if you could draw something like this, Madison, that's what I'm trying to go for with the mouth.
got you, Apollo.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's beautiful. And then getting the teeth. So like you almost have what you need here, but essentially you need to pull. As soon as you get that in there.
You really get the tongue too. That'll be nice on a rat. Like you can kind of be up. Something like that. Maybe. Is that what you're thinking of, Dan?
Yeah. And so essentially it's basically what you have, but you need to get this corner out a little bit. And then you also need to clean out your mouth corner so that it comes into a shape. Essentially where right now you're kind of getting this almost like pinched ooh shape in the mouth if you're just looking at the lips. But what you need to get is you need to get essentially a very graphical like mouth shape like this, where both sides of the mouth, so you get this kind of a shape on this corner and you get almost the same shape on this corner, and then you kind of like bridge between. And that's how you would get something like this. As you can see, like you have here and then it curves in between. So getting a really nice pushed shape like that can get you here. And then again with here, trying to get, here's the, what color? Can I get a color for this?
Not allowed.
Reload, please. There we go. So if you have the teeth here, get red. Having the lips curve back around to get this pushed mouth expression, which essentially is what you have, except yours kind of blend in like this, which gets you the oval, but instead try to get the lips out and around. So you get this more pushed like rat, right? And so that's really going to push your lip sync.
Granted,
Here, I like your mouth shape. I would just try to get granted. I don't think you can go like granted. It's going to be kind of hard to go like granted with your mouth in and your lips in, like granted. So I would try to just keep the same shape that you have because it's a really nice shape. Mm-hmm. Just try to get the mouth a little bit wider here. And then here, try to keep this shape with the mouth closed because I like the shape. So just try to keep that same like nice angle. That's going to get you really nice like and again, just keep the shape. Like that's the thing with lip sync is if you can keep the same lip shapes without making, now obviously don't make the lips feel static. Like don't keep them static, but if you can keep them in relatively the same shape, try to only go between round and harsh shapes as few times as you can. So you don't want to go from round to hard to round back to hard. So just try to keep them in the same relative shapes as much as you can. So again, I would keep this like here, and then I would go like here, something like that, just to keep that nice pushed mouth shape.
I probably would have.
And then same here, like try to at least push the mouth here a little bit to get that mouth corner back in Z depth, right? So essentially what you need to do with all of these shapes here is rather than having this kind of a mouth shape, try to grab the mouth control and push it back in Z depth. For Jules, it would be Z depth control. And it would essentially get you a mouth shape like this. And that just makes a way cleaner mouth shape. And it'll also push this cheek in a little bit and get you a really nice like graphical mouth shape. Same here. It would just be, you know, this here, and then you'd have the white teeth here, something like that. So you just more graphical mouth shapes.
A rat girlfriend, and she would have joined me in my cheese feast. She would have joined me.
And then joined me. What you're gonna really want to do is instead of keeping your corners wide and like joined me, try to go like joined me. So you go from me and you really hit this nice like me. So you would still keep a smile on the mouth, but it would be a much smaller smile. And then you would go into this really nice like me. And I would try to keep the corners wide until they go around the edge of the mouth, just so you get a more graphical mouth shape.
Me in my cheese feast. It's cheese feast.
Cheese feast? I would try to keep the mouth wide through the whole thing, because right now it's like cheese feast, and it feels kind of weird. Cheese feast. So go in a little bit for the F in feast. Maybe here. And then you can stay relatively, wide here.
It's just, you get a heartbreak as a human.
That feels pretty good.
A heartbreak as a human.
That feels pretty good.
If I had have been a rat, granted, I probably would have had a rat girlfriend, and she would have had a rat girlfriend, and she would have joined me in my cheese feast. It's just, you get a heartbreak as a human.
Do you have any notes or anything after that, Madison?
I kind of hit everything that I was thinking of because I was mainly looking at
I
like
had a
lip sync and stuff.
rat. It would have
Yeah.
a girlfriend. And she would have joined me in my cheese feast. It's just, you get heartbreak because it's a human. It's like break.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that was it.
I want to look at this hot mouth shape. Look at that.
So snazzy.
Look at that. That's hot.
Look at that man.
That's a hot mouth shape. That's a hot face.
Look at him go. He's
So-
angry.
Yeah. If you can follow this and get this face, like that'll be like chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss.
Pixar will be calling you tomorrow. So do this mouth shape.
Well, let's not promise things with my notes like that. That's scary.
But yeah, hopefully those notes help Pratham. And then if I'm able to stream next week, if you're able to send your file, I can actually do like an entire demo of like really pushing your mouth shapes and pushing facial shapes, because that's something I really like to do and I think that'd be fun. So next week, if you want to send me the file, I can do that for a critique if I'm streaming. So, but yeah, hopefully that helps. And then next we have Riddig, is that it? Let me watch this through. I haven't seen it yet, so let me see. And it will not play, so let me refresh. Okay, let me hit the play button.
Ding dong, I know you can hear me. Open up the door. I only wanna play a little. Ding dong, you can't keep me waiting. It's already too late for you to try and run away. I see you through the window.
Okay.
Terrifying. I love it.
You can hear me.
I'm not sure what rig this is.
Is it the waitress rig, but not it? I don't know.
Maybe?
You have to tell us. I'm curious because I was trying to think this entire time. I was like, I think it's the waitress rig.
I only wanna play a little ding dong. You can't keep me waiting. It's already too late for you to try and run away. I see you through the window. Ding dong.
Lisa rig. I don't think I've heard that.
You through the window. You through the window.
I don't think I've ever seen the Lisa rig before.
Yeah, send the link. I'm curious. I've never seen this rig before, so it's cute.
But I also remembered, Madison, I need to open up a shot for a walk cycle critique because Nikki.
Oh, okay.
So could you go first on this one? Let me switch
Yeah, sure.
screens and you can go first. That way I can download the files because I forgot to do that until just now.
All right, yeah, we all synced mine. Okay, cool. Let me take a look.
Ding dong, I know you can hear me. Open up the door. I only wanna play a little. Ding dong, you can't keep me waiting. It's already too late for you to try and run away. I see you through the window.
Also, this song must be stuck in your head 24/7. I've already heard it 3 times, and I'm like, ding dong, like it's stuck in my head.
Hear me. Open up the door. I only wanna play. You can hear me. Open up the door. Not only wanna
And watch out, the one thing that's standing out is this spacing on her like cog going up and down. Oh, wait. Something going on. Oh, you're talking about the rake, trying to find the gum road. Oh, no worries. We're just watching this here. Watch out for your spacing, like it's very even. Like if I were to go through, probably I bet it's pretty even, but I want to check it real quick, the spacing. Especially because I think you're stretching here, and like that's fine, but make sure that everything's working in the cog first, because right now it feels very even. Here's some cushion here, but yeah, see how even it is, especially right here. So what you ideally want here instead, oop, that is a very big brush. Smaller, please. So this is your antic, right? And I would hold in this extreme up and go a lot faster down into your extreme down for your antic for the jump. That anticipation could be a lot snappier because she's going like woo, like jumping really quick. So here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So like I would still keep her up here. Honestly, to like here, to like 158, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. You could drop her, and I would drop her back here. Maybe I messed up my own. Also, I don't like that I can't delete Madison's sketch anymore easy. So, okay, actually what I would do here. There we go. Something like this. Let me just delete this. See, it's just a little bit faster. Like, boom, she can come down a lot quicker and a lot less frames. Then right now, it just feels like she's kind of splining from like one extreme to the other, and so the antic's not really reading, and it kind of feels like she just like splines into the jump. So this is fine. She goes down here. I might bring her a little bit further down just to really amplify this up. This is good. This is because you have like this straight. What I might do here is actually bring her up a little further, and then maybe just like she's on her tiptoe. So that way that leg doesn't stretch too much. So just see, I'm giving her a little more hang time, a little more height, and then getting down quicker, taking out a lot of frames of her coming down. So hopefully that makes sense. Kind of like the drawings, you can kind of see like just the different timing. I might even take out. See, I might actually take out this frame and this frame. So you can take out 2 frames here and just have her go from like here to here. Because right, that's going to be your biggest spacing because she's coming down. So you really want to feel like chunk, like that impact of like she hits. So that way, think of like your bouncing ball. Because the hips here and any kind of jump like this, it's a bouncing ball. You're going to have your, extreme of your TY at the apex of the jump, and then the spacing is going to get closer and then bigger as it comes down. And then you're going to have your biggest spacing between contact and down from that. When I like watched this the first few times, this didn't ring to me the ding dong. I think I was looking at your reference before. I think this is the ref you ended up going with. Ding dong, I know you can hear me. So I kind of like in your reference here going like ding dong, like boom boom with the hand all the way out in silhouette. And right now it's very like foreshortened, especially on like the second one. If there's a way you could make like, you know, the bell bigger, I think it'd be nice because it would read like, you know, if it was. What's this first ding here? With her arms out this way. And she was holding on to the bell. And the bell was like a big boy bell. Right. You know, maybe, well, that was a very terrible drawing of a bell. But hopefully you get the idea. Like, you can see it in the top. And then it comes out and around. So that way we can just see. This is probably too exaggerated, but that way we can just see it. Because right now I'm not getting it. So maybe it's like out. If you wanted to, you could go ding dong. Like maybe she like da da, like brings it in with the hand. Just something that like we're bringing, because right now all I'm seeing is the jump and I'm not seeing the hand. Like honestly, it's such a fast jump, ding dong. I might keep it just out here, like what I drew here, like ding dong, like she's jumping with it, but like that way it's not going to be strobing around. Because right now when I watch it, it just kind of goes like boom, 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 and it strobes around. So I would just be careful of that. And let me quickly see if I'm not missing any chats. So for here I would keep the arm out just so that way it's just a little more clear.
You can't keep me waiting, it's already
I would cheat her head back and up a little bit. So if we were to draw her clown nose, it'd be like more here. Just so that way, because right now, like I'm losing her face on this. Right. So maybe something like that. Oops. Oh, eyes. Thanks. Just that way we can actually see her. So maybe something like that, just like bringing her whole head up a little bit, but like just having her look down.
it's already too late. Ding dong, I know, ding dong, I know you win.
Same thing about like silhouette and clarity here. Like this is getting really garbled. So, you know, I do one of two things. I would either have her be holding it like this. Right? So that way we can see it and like we clear the silhouette, or I would have her hold it up. I'd probably do the other, you know, just to get it out of silhouette. Because this here, if you have it up, you're gonna have run into the issue of it being behind her head. It'd have to be kind of cheated, foreshortened anyways. So I'd probably do this one. Just that way, get it in silhouette. So it's like dun dun, like maybe she's doing it down this way.
Oh, I didn't know I've been muted.
Hi, have you been talking? I'm sorry.
No. I wasn't. I was just about to talk and I realized that I was muted. But
ding dong. Hello.
I think so. This is just a personal perspective, but I think right now what Madison's talking about is super important of getting the bell out there. But I also think, you know, as an audience or as an animator, you need to draw the character's eye to something, right? And so right now for me, first time watching this, there's two things competing right now. One is the bell ringing. The other is the head and the body moving. And I can't decide as somebody watching what I'm supposed to be looking at. Am I supposed to be looking at the bell or am I supposed to be looking at the head? Because they're both kind of trying to hit the beat of like ding dong, right? So like the head is moving at the same kind of beat and the bell is kind of ringing at the same time.
Yeah.
So personally, this is just my personal opinion, so you can take it or leave it. What I would do is I would start this shot and she would be still, like almost perfectly still. And she would just be sitting there. Maybe she's breathing a little bit. And then it would cut here and she would still be still and she would be in the pose that Madison drew here. And she would just go, ding dong. So like you would still get a little motion in the arm, maybe a little sympathetic motion in the head, but it would literally just be ding dong, I know we've been waiting. And maybe you can do like a cool, like, you know how you've seen like the dolls where they're like still and it's like they're kind of like breaking into the motion of like they're kind of still, and maybe she rings the bell and that's what gives her the motion to move, whatever, you know, you can come up with something. But I think you're kind of getting it with like she's kind of doing this weird unnatural motion. But I think if you were to hold that until after the bell rings, it's going to be a lot more impactful, as opposed to trying to sell them the idea of moving the body and ringing the bell at the same time. So that's just a personal opinion. You can take it or leave it, but I think it would be cool if you could kind of keep her still, ring the bell, ding dong, I know you've been waiting, and then kind of like move her around. I think it would really sell that the bell's ringing and then sell that she's moving, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree with that a lot. That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah. I guess you're saying to someone else. I was just replying to that like it was my note. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do that. I don't know why. Sorry.
Yeah, we're all tired.
Yeah.
I know you can hear me open. I know you can hear me open.
I also think you could punch this up right now of like, right now she's like, I know you can hear me. And so her head comes up and then the eyes flare open. Timing wise, like, you know, as animators, we're trying to think of how to do timing, spacing, spice things up, rhythm, you know, long, fast, slow, quick.
Yeah.
And so I'll answer your quest, Pratham, in a second. But so what I would try to do here.
I know you can hear me.
I know you can hear me. Right. I don't think you should go slow into that of like, I know you can hear me. Like I would try, because she's moving so slow up into it, I would try to hold her head down, keep her eyes closed, and she can just be like, I know you can hear me. And then she pops up and opens those eyes. Hear me kind of thing. And that's going to really spice up that timing.
I know you can hear me. Open up the door. I know you can hear me. Open up the door. I only.
And that's also going to play into, I think you can.
Open up the door.
I think you could hold in this pose for longer. So instead of going, open up the door, since you're going fast into this pose, she can go, hear me, open up the door, right? And just make this motion smaller and just keep her in this pose, and she can kind of go, open up the door, and kind of like hit that pose really nicely. So that's what my note would be for that.
I only wanna play a little ding dong. You can't keep me waiting. It's already too late for you to try and run away. I see you through the window.
And then I think at the end here, I think, again, this is kind of the idea of pushing an idea. I think you can take it one of two ways. I think right now you're kind of in the middle and you should push it one to the other. Either you can't see her at all and she goes, the wind, like the window. Right, let me speed it up. Let me speed it up to 72. Right, so I'm doing this like quadruple speed. And that feels good of like, rawr, and she like comes up. Or I think you could play it the opposite way, where she comes up very slowly through the window.
Oh, thank you for the nightmares. with that.
So I
That's
think
slow.
right now you're kind of on the fence between two ideas. One of she comes up just like super slow, the window, or see you through the window and she like comes up and out. So pick one or the other, and I would try to go either really quick or really slow. I would try to push from one or the other. So, but other than that, that's kind of my main notes. I don't know if Madison had anything else, but that's just kind of piggybacking off of the notes that Madison had. So
Yeah, that's kind of my main notes too. Like everything I was talking about, like the main stuff that stuck out to me when I first watched it. So
cool. Yeah, hopefully that helps. And then for Pratham, that's a hard question because burnout is real.
yes, too real.
But at the same time, I do agree with what you're saying of how do you force yourself to animate? Because at the end of the day, yes, take care of yourself. Yes, don't animate if you don't feel like it. But you should do everything you can to try to make yourself want to animate. Because if you don't, you're not improving. You're not getting better. You're not achieving your goals. And if you don't achieve your goals, it's going to be a snowball effect of, I'm feeling disappointed in my animation. So then you take a break. Then you don't animate. So then you feel more disappointed. And then it's just a snowball effect that just rolls downhill very quickly. So look for the small things. That's what the best advice I can give you is when you're trying to animate a shot for a demo reel that's going to get you a job, that's going to get you to a studio, that's going to burn you out quick. And I found that out very, very quick. I found that out very quickly. I found it very like personal experience. It happened to me so many times. If I was animating to get to Disney, or if I was animating to get to Pixar, or I was animating even just to get a job in general, it gives you, it makes you burn out very easily, very quickly. From my experience, the way you should be animating is for personal growth, finding small areas where you can push yourself. Because again, like you were saying, you've been feeling kind of meh about your shot. And that's going to happen every shot you do for a long time. Because the road of an artist is your skill is here, your eyes are up here. And then they're constantly switching. You know, you've probably seen the chart. So when you started this shot, your eyes and skill were at a certain level. But because you've been learning so much during this class with Ray, your eyes have gotten better than your skills.
Yep.
And so now you feel meh about your shot when you didn't 3-4 weeks ago.
It's a very frustrating point to be at. Like, we feel you.
And the reason for that is because your skills are no longer at the same level of you as your eyes. Your eyes are better than your skills. And so you know your shot isn't great, but you don't know exactly how to fix it either. And then by the end of the term, you're going to be happy with your progress because you worked on things, progressed, but you're going to look back at it and you're like, I could do this better, this better, this better. So then you're going to go to your next shot and you're going to address those notes from this shot in your class 5 shot. And you're going to start out and you're going to be like, this shot is great. And then you're going to get 5-6 weeks in, you're going to be like, this shot's terrible. I could fix this. Or maybe you don't even know how to fix it. You're just like, this is terrible. I don't like it, but I don't know why. Then by the end of the term, you're going to know why because you've learned more, but then you're not going to want to go back and fix it because you're going to want to go to the next shot. And then it's going to happen again and again and again. And the more times that happens, the smaller those gaps get to where you get done with a shot and you're like, I'm pretty happy with this. Like, I'd fix this, and this, but they're not massive things like there were in classes 4, 5, and 6. So it's nice to know that this happens to everyone. And another nice thing to know is that don't look at this class 4 shot as this is going to get me a job. 99% of people are not going to use their class 4 shot to get a job. I didn't. My class 4 shot, nobody will ever see it because it's terrible, awful. But I don't hate the shot because I like it. I like what I learned. And if I hadn't have failed in those areas, I would have failed later in those same areas. Yeah. So every failure in my class 4 shot is a success because I learned from every single one of those failures. I failed more times than you can count in my class 5 shot. But those are a success.
Who hasn't?
I didn't fail in those same areas in my class 6 shot. Yeah. My class 6 shot, I failed. Yeah, exactly. So don't look at it as, oh, my shot's boring, or oh, my shot isn't as good as it could have been. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Everyone's shot isn't as good as it could be. But what areas are you going to push yourself in this shot? That's what you need to ask yourself. And I think that's what's going to push you is, where am I going to push myself with this shot? I'm going to push my mouth shapes. So even if your shot isn't as interesting as you want it to be, or it's not as good of an idea, or it's not as funny, or the posing isn't as good as it wanted to be, right here, right now, focus on something. Do you want to get extra snappy, extra fleshy motion? Do you
Always
want to
have a
really
goal,
focus on
yeah.
your lead and follow? Do you want to focus on your lip sync, your mouth shapes? Do you want to focus on your eye shapes? Find something that you specifically really want to push yourself and pay extra attention to that along with everything else. Because okay, mouth shapes. So you're really going to push yourself on the mouth shapes. Along with working on your shot and doing everything, because obviously you have to get the shot done. You want to try and get it as far as you can. Take 30 minutes every day. Take 45 minutes every day. Go watch amazing animators, preferably with Jules' character. Look at how they're posing mouth shapes and try to use that information to make your mouth shapes better. The AM Student Showcase is a perfect place to go for that. Go look at this showcase. Go look at last year's, the year before that. Look at the mouth shapes frame by frame through it. Look at animators you really look up to. Look at 2D mouth shapes from old school Disney movies. Really, really get in there and start looking at mouth shapes, because that's where you want to push yourself.
Yeah.
So that way it'll take you from, essentially what I'm getting at is, you can't change the idea of your shot. You can't change the acting choices. You can't change the posing because you've already done those things. So rather than trying to think about, this shot is meh, and feeling down about it because of things you can't change at this point, try to find the things that you still can change, you still can work on, you still can improve. So that way you can still be excited and pumped about the shot, so that you can be like, I learned a lot from this shot, and be really happy. Because that would always happen to me. I'd do my class 4 idea. I'd be excited about it for a week. And then I'd look back on it and be like, this is the most boring idea ever. This is the worst audio ever. This is the worst acting choices ever. This is the worst posing ever. And I would always be disappointed about what I had just done. And that would keep me distracted from working on what I'm doing at the moment, right? So try to keep your mind in the present. Try to keep working on what you're doing now. And don't think about what you did yet last week. Don't think about what you did 2 weeks ago, because you can't change that. Unless you want to totally reanimate your shot, which, nobody has time for in class 4. So that's my suggestion. Keep it small, keep it dedicated, keep yourself in the present. Don't think too much about what you did last week before that, and just keep pushing forward and keep being specific with what you want to work on. So hopefully that helps. And then
someone else, they can ask me a question.
Yeah, and then
sure. I'm here. Ask away.
I'm going to switch over here so I can pull this up. Frame 176.
Oh, a question about. 176. Yeah. What specifically about it were you wanting to ask? Oh, so not remove that pose. What I was saying when I said like remove this frame, if that's what you're talking about, I was talking specifically about the cog down here. So this one, what I was drawing is I was basically saying like you're going to be taking out those frames in terms of like the speed of how fast your cog is coming down, how fast she's coming down. So she can still be stretched, but just she's going to be down here, right? She can still be stretched, maybe not as much, but.
What's up, Brandon? Well,
Hi,
that
Brandon.
to put it in a different term, that phrase always confused me as well, of take out that frame, because I was always like, but do I like delete that frame and then just shift everything? Because I didn't know like where do I put the frame, because you can't just delete a frame into infinity. It has to go somewhere. So that phrase always confused me, but it's really up to you how you interpret it. So you can either hold the pose before. So what would be the pose before that?
So like the pose before would be like this, right?
So she's coming down. So if you want to remove a frame on the way down, maybe you add a frame in the apex. So she comes up and she holds one frame longer. That way she can come down quicker. Yeah. Or she can come down one frame quicker and she just holds after she hits the ground, right? Or you can just delete that one frame and shift all your animation back one frame, and your shot is one frame shorter. Like there's three, four different ways to address it, but you kind of just have to think of it in that way of like, you can take away that frame, but you have to put it somewhere else. So you just have to decide where you want to put that frame once you remove it.
Like what I would, what I would specifically do with your shot is, like Dan said, add that frame to the apex of her, about the extreme of her TY, right before she comes down, because you need a little more hang time there, and then speed up the drop. So that's basically in a broad sense like what the note I was trying to give is. It's like just make sure that she's coming down faster, the spacing gets bigger when she comes down, and it's the spacing's tighter when she's at the apex of that jump. So hopefully, does that answer your question? Also, hi, Brandon.
Yeah, no
cool.
problem.
Yeah, you're welcome. Anytime.
And then we have a walk cycle critique for Nikki. And let me pull that up for screen share. Cool.
If you're doing the walk cycle, Dan, I have to dip because I want to film some reference tonight, or at least try to get something done before bed. So
give me 1 second before you leave so I can hit the just chatting one and make sure that it works.
Okay. If it's not, I can stay on, just stay muted.
No, I will go to starting soon. I'll fix everything and then we'll be back. So cool. Thank you so much for the sync sketch link. I'm probably going to do most of the notes in the Maya file, but thanks for hanging out, Madison, and staying on.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me.
30 seconds and I will be back in 3, 2, 1.
Are you good with me hopping off and stop screen sharing?
Okay, I'm back. Hello, everybody. Brandon dropping the big bucks. Thanks, Brandon, for the bits. Appreciate it. Supporting the stream. Brandon, did you check out the cool snazzy renders for the rig? It looks pretty hot, doesn't it? I'll have to show you the shot I'm working on with him. He looks pretty hot. We're also going to be releasing the rig. We're going to be releasing the rig December 20th for pre-orders, and then we're going to release the rig on the 3rd. So it's going to be nice. But with that, I took a look at your blocking, Nikki, and this looks really, really nice. Like every time you do a cycle, Nikki, DM me, Brandon, and I might can hook you up with one. People like close friends of mine that I went to school with that are wanting to do shots, I've went ahead and sent it to them because I'm trying to get some shots done. So if you want to animate a shot with it, Brandon, DM me and I might can hook you up because I know a guy. See you, Riddig. Yeah. DM me so I don't forget and I'll message you. But this walk cycle looks really good, Nikki. This is the best walk cycle you've done so far. I think a little bit of it is because you have a better rig, but far and away, you know, every time you do this cycle, every time you do a walk cycle, you're improving. So this is looking really nice. So I'm not going to have a lot of notes, but I will have a few. So a couple first things like blocking before you get into spline. One thing that I noticed as you're getting into this like walk cycle, try to get his try to get arcs within his knees. So right now his knees are kind of coming straight down and then straight up. So as he comes down into this pose, try to get his knee to come in a little bit. So you're getting kind of like the knees up on the right side and then it comes down. He comes up. Still have it coming in a little bit. Here, maybe it comes out a little bit. And then it stays out a little bit. So maybe here will be a little more like this. Keeping the knee in line with the foot through this section. And there you go. Now, as you can see, essentially what's happening now is essentially the knee is coming. Let me turn on grease pencil. Yeah, essentially the arc of the knee is coming down and then coming up. Actually, why don't I just track the arc so I can see exactly what it's doing? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the layout control. I'm going to turn on the bend bows. And I'm just going to select this bend bow control. And I'm going to track this with my arc tracker. And that from the front view is going to give me the arc that I'm trying to go for. So now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is kind of messy. So let me clean this up just a little bit. So if I go 20 frame 24 and I boop, boop. Yeah, I need to go back to 25 and retrack this. So essentially what you're going to be getting with this arc, Nikki, is in essence what it's going to be is it's going to be a big circle and then a small circle. So you're essentially making figure eights with the knee. One that's big, one that's small. That's essentially going to be the arc. Now this one looks a little bit choppy because there's not a lot of frames in between. But you can you can imagine if you had frames in between this, right? It would be a much smoother arc, which again you're doing. It's just that you don't have that many frames. So boom, 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 boom. So that's what the arc is going to look like for the knee. Also, just for my own personal tastes, I like to grab the knees, the knee pull vectors, and universally just pull them out in translate Z like that, just so they're far out, and just leaving them still like that. But again, what you're doing works perfectly fine as well. I would just probably pull them out just a little bit farther because I like them a little farther away. It just makes things a little bit easier for me to animate. So that would be my first note, is just making an arc in the knee. And then my second note, I am not sure what. Is that maybe a motion trail? It's probably a motion trail. Let me go to a left view. As for the posing, foot roll, boom. Try to keep your feet zeroed out. Keep the TY zeroed out until your feet leave the ground. Here, you go from there, here to here. So here, try to keep it zeroed out. I would also try to keep the foot roll a little bit less and maybe up the foot brake just a little bit. So you go from here to here. Also trying to keep my translate Z the same, so 40.405, negative 40.405. There we go. So I'm just going to try to keep this back foot going from the contact to the down pose. I'm going to try to keep the TY zeroed out because I don't want the foot hanging in midair. And then I'm just going to try and add a little bit of a bend in the toe, because right now if the toe is totally flat, it doesn't feel like there's any weight. But as the foot comes off, right, it's going to come off like this, and it's going to be straight as it's like leaving. But as the toe's still on, there's going to be a little bit of bend. So kind of like boom kind of thing. So I'm going to try to keep the foot a little bit bent. This is good, and boom. So the only thing I'm really gonna try to do here, you've got positive 20. Here you need to have negative 20 on the hips, right? Because if you have positive 20 for this contact, you need to have negative 20 for this contact. Because essentially the way you look at it is, when this foot is leading, the hip needs to be rotated this way. Now when this foot is leading, the hip needs to be rotated this way, right? So I'm going to go to the rotate Y, and that looks pretty good. I'm just going to ease things just a little bit. Ease it here, ease it here. Very nice, very nice. That works good. Again here, same note as this one. Just trying to keep the foot a little bit bent on the down pose. Another thing you're going to want to do with the head. So essentially with the head, as the body goes down, the nose is going to come up a little bit. And as it hits the ground, it's going to come down a little bit. And so essentially, the rotation of the head is going to be following exactly the translation of the hips offset by 2 frames, right? So essentially what you can do is you can take the TY of the hips, and I can be like, okay, let me just copy, boom, boom. Up. So the only thing I'm noticing with the head is like the hips are coming down, so the head should be coming up. That's correct. The hips are coming up, so the head should be going down, down. Here, the head should be coming up. And here, the head should be going down. Down. But a nice trick you can do is you can take the TY of the hips, take the rotate X, and paste it. And there you go. Now this is a little bit 1-to-1, so if I was to hit spline on both of these, they're going to be moving at the exact same time. And that's not what we want. But once you're into spline, then you can take the rotate X and offset it by 2 frames. And that's not quite working because it's opposite. So I'm going to go times equals -1. There we go. And now you have an offset head. Maybe that's a little too much, so I'll offset it by 1 frame. And there you go. That's relatively what we want. But because we're in blocking and everything should be on the same keys, this will be fine until I hit spline. So now, if you can see, rather than the head kind of moving offset by too much of the hips, now the head's kind of moving connected, but you'll offset it once you hit spline. Hopefully that makes sense. Another thing you want to do is as he does his arm this way, try to raise the shoulders, and as he goes down, drop the shoulders, raise the shoulders, drop the shoulders, raise the shoulders. So here, his shoulders should be up a little bit. And then through here, try to drop his shoulders. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, right now your follow line is turned off, which means if you rotate the shoulders, the arm follows with it. If you rotate the body, the arm follows with it. I don't like it that way because I like to be able to move the body and the arm stays in the right position. So I would actually animate with follow align on. So if you have Animbot, you can go select the arms, select this, follow align, all keys turn on. There you go. Now follow align is turned on. Boop, boop. If you don't have Animbot, which if you're learning animation, I would not suggest, the way that you can do this is you can create a cube, go to modify, match all transforms, and then just scale the cube up. And then I'm just going to constrain parent, child, constrain parent, cube coat. There we go. Pray thumb. Exactly. So now the cube is following the arm. So then I'm going to just set a key. And I'm just going to go through every single one of my keyframes and set a key. So now my cube has keys on it on every single keyframe. So now I can go in and delete the constraint. And even though the cube is no longer constrained, it still follows the animation perfectly. So then I can do parent cube, arm child, constrain parent. Now, instead of moving the arm and the cube following, I can move the cube. Oh, I need to go to constrain parent and only do rotations because I cannot translate this arm. Now, instead of the arm making the cube move, the cube makes the arm move. And now I can go and I can turn on follow align on all of my keys. So I can turn this to 1. And now I can just go to my keyframes, set a key. And as you can see in the graph editor, every time I set a key, it's moving my curves to be what they should. Boom, 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 boom. And I'll just delete these. So now that I've baked the animation, I can now delete the cube. And my animation should be what it should be. So now if you look at the difference, follow align is off on this arm. Follow align is on this arm. So you can see the difference. If I move the follow align off, the arm rotates with the shoulder. When follow align is on, the arm does not rotate with the shoulder, which is personally for 99% of shots, I want follow align to be on so that this happens on the blue arm instead of the red arm. And so you can see what will happen if I turn this on without doing the cube method. The arm snaps to a different spot. Boom. It moves, and then my animation is broken. So to quickly recap, create a cube, shift select the arm, modify, match all transforms, control select the arm to deselect it, scale up the cube, parent arm, child cube, constrain, make sure it's both translations and rotations, then set a key on the cube, make sure that this is correct. Okay, so now I'm just going to go through all my keyframes, set a key. There we go. Now I'm going to go to the cube. I'm going to delete the constraint. And now my animation, my cube follows along and there's no constraint. So now I can do cube first, then arm, constrain, parent, only rotations. Now it's constrained. Now I can turn on my follow align. There you go. And then I'm going to go through and set a key on all of my frames. And then I can delete the cube. Boom. And my animation should be intact. And I should be able to raise and lower the shoulders and the arms not rotate with that. So that's just important for you to know going forward as an animator, is follow align is a very important tool that you have at your disposal. So here, as he's in this pose, I think the shoulders should be raised slightly. As he comes down, lower the shoulders. Maybe they're still a little bit lowered. Here, maybe they can start to come up. Here they can come up even more. Here they can come down. Continue to come down. They can come up. And then this will be the same pose, so middle mouse drag. So now I need to flip these to stepped poses. Boop. And I think you have some nice fleshy arm animation now going on here. Another thing I think you should do is I think you should add some rotate Z to both the head and the neck. So right now, I think you should add a little bit. So right now I think his neck should be facing a little bit this way And as you come here, maybe his neck will be facing a little bit to the left. So I'm just going to hit the extremes here. So this is an extreme. This is an extreme. This is an extreme. You know what? For now, we'll leave the... I'm not a fan of the way I'm doing this neck. And I think it's relatively fine. Let's go do the head first, and then I'll see about the neck. So the head, I feel like, should be rotated a little bit this way on this pose. Yes. Naheem, yes, I can give you a tip for breathing. And Nikki, yes, follow a line for the head always. Unless I'm doing a parkour shot where I'm doing 360-degree flips or I'm doing rotations, twists, turns, unless I'm doing something super parkour heavy, I'm going to have follow a line on the head because I want to be able to animate my head and then tweak the body and not have to have the head reanimated. Because as humans, we have very still, steady heads. So like I can be here and I can rotate my body and my head won't move, right? But with follow a line off, your head moves perfectly with the body, which gets very unnatural and hard to animate motion. So, and then for the breathing, let me finish this about the head real quick, and then I'll go into breathing. So for this passing pose, I think the head should be tilting a little bit to the left, which means for the opposite passing pose, I think the head should be tilted a little bit to the right. And so now if I have rotate Z and I have this passing pose, I think that works relatively nice. And then for rotate Z, that works relatively nice. Let's just go ahead and flip this to stepped. Boom, 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 boom. So that works pretty good. Now I want to change the neck just a little bit because I want this to be able to follow. So this passing pose, I want to rotate the neck a little bit that way. This passing pose, I want the neck to follow a little bit this way. And now let's go to the graph editor, hit this to spline. That's fine, that's fine. Okay, so here, oops, I did not want to do that. Let's go ahead and find this pose, this pose, this pose. Let's go ahead and ease this just a little bit. So let's just make this here, and then we'll flip these two ends to linear, and then let's flip this to stepped. There we go. So to quickly answer your question about breathing, so to animate breathing, Naheem, this is not the way we breathe, as you probably know. And this is also not the way we breathe. When we breathe, our entire body is involved with breathing. And it pivots, from the back of our neck. So if I was to put a control right here and rotate it, that's what it would be for breathing. So if you can see my hand, it relatively stays perfectly in place. So if I was breathing, I would essentially have a control here and I would be rotating it and I would be moving my shoulders with it. So the way that I do breathing typically is once I've animated my shot. So let's say this character is animated, right? And I want him to be breathing while he's walking. For you, for a walk cycle, I would just animate this control, right? There's not really much reason to animate all of these different controls. For me, it just makes it more complicated to animate 3 controls instead of 1. For an actual body mechanics shot that you might do later, Nikki, I would probably use FK spine because it makes you animate motion properly, right? So it teaches you to animate the spine as a FK unit. But for this exercise, I think what you're doing is perfectly fine. So being able to have side to side motion, up and down squashing and stretching, and being able to have hip rotation, I think that's perfectly fine. So I think what you're doing here is correct, Nikki. But let's say I want to animate breathing on this character. What I would do is I would create a locator, modify, match all transforms, scale it up, turn on locators, and I would place a locator exactly where the breathing control needed to go, right? And then I would do parent, chest, child locator, and constrain it, except it would be a both translation and rotation constraint. And then I would turn blend parent on, and then I would just go through every frame very quickly and just set keys on everything. You could do it manually. What I would do personally is I would go curves, bake channel, and I would make the value sample by 1, and boom, it bakes every single frame. And then after it's baked, I would go to constraints, delete. So now you can see the locator moves perfectly with the body. So now if I parented this to the parent locator, child, chest, parent, now if I rotate this, we can get nice, accurate breathing, which again, if follow align was turned on, it would work a little bit better. Oops. Why is the chest not rotating with? That's weird. There we go. And this would simulate breathing, right? But we already have animation making our spine follow with the body. So I would create an animation layer, boop, and this is where I would make the character breathe. So that doesn't have anything to do with your shot, Nikki, so disregard that. But see you, Pratham. Have a good night. Hopefully that answers your question, Naheem, on how I would animate breathing, is with a control like this, making it rotate from the back of the neck. So hopefully that makes sense, Naheem. But to continue on with your critique, Nikki. So I've gone over, I think, adding overlap side to side in the head, overlap side to side in the neck area, and then adding curvature in the knees, refining your down poses to touch the ground. Other than that, I think you're in a really good spot, Nikki. I think if you address these notes that I went over today, I think you should be able to start splining this. And hopefully if I'm streaming next week, you can let me take a look at it and I can give you splining critique. But I think as blocking goes, I think you're in a really good spot. as long as you do the head, neck, shoulders, refining the hips of the rotate Y that I talked about, and then fixing the feet and then adding knee arcs. So hopefully that makes sense. Nikki, do you have any questions or anything on that? Oh, I'm glad you like it, Vero. Just me rambling on about this, that, and everything else. You should post your drawing somewhere. I want to see what kind of stuff you're drawing. I need to get back into drawing. I haven't drawn in ages. I used to draw back in class 1, trying to get good at gesture drawing, but since class 2, I just haven't had the time to pick the pencil back up and actually start doing things. The arcs of the hands, let me double check those. I think they're in a pretty good spot, but let me double check. Let me top view. So here's a little tip for you, Nikki. So if you have the body walking forwards, right? This helps for almost everything, but it makes tracking the hands arcs very hard. So what I would do to track the hand arcs, this is a trick I learned from a Pixar animator. If you have a character walking forward, but I want to be able to track my hand arcs to see the figure 8, I'm going to take the translate Z of the cog, copy this curve, go to the layout control, and I'm going to go to translate Z, and I'm going to paste it here. And then I'm going to go select it, times equals -1. Boom. And now it will be a perfectly in place walk cycle. Because as the cog feet go forwards, the layout control goes backwards at the exact same rate. And now I have an in-place walk cycle. And so now if I want to, I can go to the top view, I can select the wrist, I can track it, and I can see it's relatively making a figure 8. Not 100%, which means I can clean this up just a little bit, but let's break this down. So oh, sorry, Naheem. For the -1, that's a multiplication expression for Maya, which will flip your curve backwards. So right now, all of these curves equal a certain value that makes it going forward, right? This curve is moving forward, but I want it to move backwards to inverse the curve to make the layout go backwards as the cog goes forward so the character stays in place. So if I go times equals -1, it's going to flip the curve from facing upwards to downwards. So you can see, again, times equals -1, it flips the curve backwards. So now that it's doing that, I can look at this curve and I can see that although it's almost making a figure 8, I need to clean the curve just a little bit to make it do a figure 8. So here I'm going to have it come in a little bit. Here I'm going to have it come in. Here I'm going to have it come out. And there we go. Now we have a nice, relatively clean figure 8 that I'm still cleaning just a little bit. But there you go. So relative, a curve, but it figure eights at the ends. Right view. So there you go. So if I look at that from the top view, you can see the relative difference that that makes from the left arm to the right arm. And I believe the neck. Something's jittering to me and I'm not sure. Anyway, so yeah, those would be my main notes. Did you have any other questions or anything on that, Nikki? The walk cycles were looking really good, by the way. And then also one last thing is once you have that done, then you can just delete the curve on your layout control, zero it back out, and now your walk cycle's walking forwards again. So hopefully that's helpful. Yeah, with that, I don't think we have time for any class sim demos, so I think I'll probably call it here because I need to get a little bit of work done on Leo before I hit the hay and start another day of work tomorrow. So big announcement today, the rig's name is Leo. Surprise, surprise. I'm sure you all heard me spill it several times while I was streaming, calling him Leo by accident, but his name is Leo, and we'll be doing pre-sales the 20th and releasing the rig on the 3rd. So keep up with us on Gumroad, Instagram, whatever about the rig. I'm gonna get a little bit of work done on him and then try to get some sleep before a full day of work tomorrow. So thank you guys for showing up to the stream, hanging out as usual, talking in the chat. Super appreciate it. Thank everybody for showing shots and work and give me something to ramble about for 2 hours. And hopefully you guys have a great night, and I will see you guys next week. So thank you.